Asexual reproduction occurs by mitotic cell division. Undifferentiated or unspecialized cells in the parent organism divide to produce two daughter cells that are genetically identical to each other and to the parent cell. Asexual reproduction, therefore, produces offspring with very little variation. Some organisms only reproduce asexually. Others reproduce sexually. A few organisms can reproduce either way. In this lesson, we will discuss asexual reproduction and the strategies organisms use to accomplish this task. The simplest form of asexual reproduction is binary fission. Bi means two, and fission means splitting. So binary fission involves one cell splitting into two, usually by mitosis. Unicellular organisms like protists and bacteria reproduce asexually by binary fission. In this way, they produce offspring that are genetic clones of themselves. Budding is a type of asexual reproduction where a new individual begins its life as an outgrowth on the side of its parent. Unicellular organisms like yeast reproduce by budding, and multicellular organisms like hydra do as well. In any case, the bud is a miniature replica of the parent. The bud is produced by mitosis, so it is genetically identical to the parent. A third type of asexual reproduction is sporulation. Sporulation involves the production of spores, tiny, nearly indestructible cells that contain a nucleus and a bit of cytoplasm. Ferns can use spores to reproduce, and so can mosses. Fungi, like mushrooms and puffballs, can also reproduce asexually by sporulation. You can actually see the spores being released from this puffball like a cloud of dust. All of these organisms, ferns, mosses, and fungi, are able to reproduce sexually as well, but spores are tough and can survive harsh conditions, so sporulation is a good reproductive strategy used for survival. Regeneration is a type of asexual reproduction in which a whole new organism is grown from a piece of another organism. Sea stars are famous for their ability to regenerate. Here you can see a sea star regrowing a leg that was lost. This image shows a leg regrowing a whole new sea star body. Since mitosis is responsible for this growth, both the sea star that lost its leg and the sea star regrown from that lost leg are genetic clones of each other. Another organism capable of asexual reproduction by regeneration is the planarian or flatworm. Cut the worm in half, and both halves would regenerate to form a new worm. Some organisms can use regeneration to repair lost limbs. Crustaceans, like the stone crab, can regrow a lost claw, while some lizards can drop their tails to distract a predator and grow a new one later. Unlike the sea star, the crab claw and the lizard tail could not regrow a whole new organism. Many plants reproduce both sexually and asexually. Asexual reproduction in plants is often called vegetative propagation or vegetative regeneration. During vegetative regeneration, undifferentiated plant cells divide by mitosis and then differentiate to form specialized tissues in the new plant. There are a number of ways that plants can propagate. Bryophyllum plants, for example, sprout tiny plantlets on the margins of their leaves. When they are mature enough, these tiny clones are dropped from the parent plant to root in the soil below. Strawberries and many grasses propagate by runners or stolons. Stolons are stems that grow outward along the ground and establish new roots and shoots. The new plant that springs up is capable of living independently from the original plant and is genetically identical to the original plant. Layering occurs when long stems bend over to touch the ground, where they take root and grow a new plant. This can occur naturally as it does in raspberries, or can be performed by a farmer to increase the production of new plants. Many plants reproduce from various types of modified underground stems. Bulbs, like onions for example, have thick fleshy leaves that store food. Corms, like garlic, store food in a thick central stem and have thin leaves. Rhizomes are thick fleshy stems that grow underground and produce new plants. Lastly, tubers are underground stems that serve as a storage place for food. Cuttings are pieces of plants, like leaves, stems, or roots, that are cut from the original plant and then begin to grow new plants. Here you can see a leaf cutting that is growing tiny new plants. Grafting is a propagation technique conducted by growers where a stem or bud is taken from one plant and permanently joined to the stem of a closely related plant. Here you can see a seedling shoot being cut and removed. Here, the shoots of a second plant are being grafted to the stalk of that plant. They are held together by a tube or bandage. The base of the plant is called the stalk, and the piece that is added is called the scion. Grafting allows a grower to select the best root traits and combine them with the best shoot traits. A grower could even produce multiple varieties of apple or pear on the same tree, for example. It's quite a phenomenon of modern agriculture. As you can see, there are many methods that organisms use to conduct asexual reproduction. The next lesson will focus on sexual reproduction.